Simmons, and to our own chairman,
the DRM has already
Alexander
started
Storr, and of
this
course,
press briefing.
to all of my colleagues from the DRM, the OPM, and members of the media. Welcome back to the EOC of the DRM Authority. We're gathered here today to, because of the passage of Tropical Storm Imelda through the Bahamas, this press conference is an opportunity for us to update the public on the storm's impact and outline the national response and next steps. To begin this afternoon's briefing, I invite Director Jeffrey Simmons of the Bahamas Department of Meteorology to start us off. Mr. Simmons, I welcome you.
Good afternoon, everyone. I stand on the protocol that's already been established. Tropical Storm Imelda is gradually moving out of our islands away from the Bahamas. However, at this time, we still think it prudent that we would hold our tropical storm warning for the islands of Grand Bahama and Abaco. The reason is because later this afternoon, when we did some observations in our briefing, we discovered that there was still some strong winds over Abaco, and we thought it prudent that we would not give the all clear for those islands at this time. So at 5 p.m. this afternoon, Imelda was located about 75 miles to the north of eastern Grand Bahama, and it's moving toward the north at 9 miles per hour. There's still some sharp activities and thunderstorms and strong winds, like I said, over Abaco and Grand Bahama as the system moves toward the north, and gradually will be out of our area by tonight. And given the all clear, we also want to advise residents to please be careful in moving around. As you will know, the system would have had an excessive amount of rainfall, and there's some extreme flooding throughout the islands as a result of this. So, we're asking you to be careful in moving around. And also, we still expect some rainfall over Grand Bahama and Abaco tonight to add to what has already been in place. In addition, there's still some chance of some storm surge of about 1 to 3 feet over Abaco and eastern and northern Grand Bahama. So we'll continue to watch the system as we have been doing over the past few days. And it is our hope and prayer that by the end of the night, sometime tonight, we'll be able, Imelda will move out of our area. Will become a hurricane tomorrow sometime away from the Bahamas. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Director Simmons. And I was remiss earlier in not recognizing Commissioner Shanta Knowles and Commodore Floyd Moxey. Welcome also. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce the Honorable Philip Davis, Prime Minister of the Bahamas, who will bring remarks regarding the storm and other matters. Please stand.
Thank you. Thank you.
Good afternoon to all. Might I say to my fellow Bahamians, we have lost a friend and a servant to the public, the Honorable Vaughn Miller. Vaughn's passing is a shock. It is a loss felt not only in government, but in homes and communities across our country. He began his life's work in the church, ministering to people's spiritual needs. And when he stepped into public service, he carried that same calling with him. Compassion was at the heart of his service. He was steady. He was thoughtful. He did not rush to be heard. But when he spoke, you paid attention, because his words came from a place of conviction and care. For one, politics was not about personal ambition. It was about fairness. It was about empathy. It was about making sure ordinary people had a voice. In cabinet, he offered counsel that was wise and grounded. In Parliament, he stood firm for his constituents. In his community, he was a neighbor, a pastor, and a friend. He treated people with respect, even when disagreements ran deep. And in a world where politics can often divide us, he reminded us of what binds us together, our shared humanity. Tonight, Anne and I extend our condolences to his wife Cassandra, and to his young son, and to all who loved him. And I ask the nation to pause with me to give thanks for his service, to remember his decency, to honor the life he lived. As a mark of respect, the national flag will be flown at half-mast across our islands from Tuesday, the 30th of September, until Saturday, the 4th of October, during his official period of mourning from Minister Vaughn Miller. There will be a time to discuss responsibilities and transitions, but tonight is for mourning and for gratitude. But even as we grieve, the responsibilities of leadership remain. In the past few days, our islands have been tested once again by Tropical Storm Imelda. I've been fully briefed on the storm's impact. I want to thank the Disaster Risk Management Authority for its leadership. I want to thank our island administrators for their coordination. I want to thank Bahamians across our islands who took warnings seriously, evacuated when needed, and looked out for one another. And I want to thank the Deputy Prime Minister, who in my absence held the reins admirably. Because of your preparation, lives were saved. Additionally, all public offices across the Bahamas will resume normal operations tomorrow. The Ministry of Education advises that all public schools are expected to open tomorrow, Tuesday, September 30th, 2025, with the exception of the following due to flooding issues: in New Providence, Sanders Primary, Sadie Curtis Primary, Clyde Primary, Judith Thompson Primary, Buttonwood Preschool, Coconut Grove Preschool, Sybil Strawn Primary, Gerald Cash Primary, Stephen Dillard Primary, Williamstown Primary, Central Abaco Primary, Moss Island School, and Cooperstown Preschool. We want to express our appreciation to the cooperation of parents, guardians, and staff as we continue to prioritize the safety and well-being of our school communities. Further updates will be provided as conditions improve by the Ministry of Education and Vocational Teaching. And further later tonight, if there are any new developments in respect to schools not mentioned or schools mentioned. Private schools are asked to conduct their own assessments and make determinations based on their individual circumstances. We appreciate the cooperation of parents, guardians, and staff as we continue, as I said, to prioritize the safety and well-being of our school communities. As you would have heard from Mr. Simmons, the Department of Meteorology has lifted the warnings across the Bahamas, except for Abaco, Annis Keys, and Grand Bahama, which, as you would have heard, are likely to be cleared later this evening. Notwithstanding, the aftermath is serious. Floodwater remains. Roads are unsafe. I urge you to stay off the roads unless absolutely necessary. Our Ministry of Works and its partners are already out there cleaning, restoring, and rebuilding. They need space to do their jobs. Please, give them that space. Storms like this remind us once again who we are. We know what it means to face hardship. We know what it means to prepare, to endure, to recover. And we know that when we work together, we can meet any storm that comes our way. Watching multiple storms gathering in the Atlantic last week, it was clear to me that our advocacy for the Bahamas on the world stage continues to be critical. It has yielded some good results, and we need to keep fighting. At the United Nations, where I was, I carried your voices into one of the world's great halls, and I reminded the world that Bahamians are living on the front lines of a changing climate. Scientific studies confirm that climate change is warming waters, and those warmer waters are driving up the intensity of storms in the Atlantic basin. Every major storm leaves behind damage that government must repair. Roads are washed out, schools and clinics are ruined, homes and docks are destroyed. Rebuilding, just to get back where we started, is a necessity, not a luxury. Hurricane Joaquin, Matthew, Irma, Dorian, these storms alone cost us more than $6 billion in direct damages. And then to consider the economic disruption, the environmental damage, the significantly high insurance premiums, the indirect costs, nearly double our losses. So cleaning up after each storm means new borrowings. Year after year, hurricane after hurricane, our debt rises as we rebuild what was already built before. And while we are busy fixing what was lost, lenders are factoring our climate risk into their interest rates, which means it is more expensive to invest in the things we need, from better hospitals, to new industries, to strong infrastructure to withstand stronger storms. Also, insurance companies are factoring our climate realities into their premiums, causing our premiums to be higher. This is the trap that climate change sets for countries like ours. We contribute little to the emissions that causes climate change, yet we face destruction that pushes us deeper into debt, and then our debt and climate risk make new investments in our country and in our people more expensive. At the United Nations and in other organizations, we are working to strengthen coalitions of small island states and countries in the global south, because we have more leverage when we work together. We are clear. We need financing that is fair and does not punish us for disasters we did not create. We need real support that allows us to rebuild without sinking further into debt. For Bahamians, climate change is not just about wind and water. It is about the weight of debt on our shoulders, limiting what we can do for our people. We have made important progress on climate finance, and there's a lot more work ahead. Just as the most severe consequences of climate change occur in countries which pollute the least, others serious problems across borders with ease. Guns and drugs from abroad are a plague in our communities. Inflation elsewhere leads to higher prices at home. War and conflict drive up energy prices. Crisis and instability rarely stay contained. Which brings me to Haiti. For too long, the Bahamas has been left to carry the weight of Haiti's crisis. It is not fair to us as Bahamians. As I have said before, our country has been through a lot. We have very serious challenges and limited resources with which to face these challenges. We are a compassionate people, but we cannot take on burdens that are not ours. So at the United Nations, I made it clear that the Bahamas cannot and will not carry Haiti's problems on our backs. We will defend our borders. We will protect the opportunities and services that belong to Bahamians. And we will keep pressing the international community to do much more. Stability in Haiti requires real commitment from global powers, from regional partners, and from international institutions. We will be a good neighbor, but not at the expense of our own people. I said this at the United Nations because I know Bahamians expect me to stand up for them, and I'll keep doing exactly that. I also underline our commitment to peace and stability in our region. The Caribbean must remain a place where people can build their futures without fear of conflict or disruption. That requires cooperation with our neighbors. It requires strong regional institutions. And it requires international partners who respect our sovereignty and share our vision of prosperity. A bigger Bahamian economy with many more Bahamian success stories. That's what I'm working to build. In New York last week, I had our country's economic future in focus, because we can't only worry about risks, we must also seize opportunities. That is why we are advancing our efforts to make the Bahamas, a hub for data storage and digital services. There is an extraordinary demand for reliable offshore data hosting and demand for specialized digital service sectors, including cloud computing, cybersecurity, and co-location services. We can play a significant role for global companies seeking well-regulated environments. This is about diversifying our economy. It is about giving young Bahamians meaningful careers in the digital age. In New York, I met with leading global firms in this field. The discussions were positive, and I believe they can lead to real investments right here at home. If we act with urgency, the Bahamas can secure a place in a new digital economy, and I intend to make sure that we do. Again, while in New York, we also expanded our circle of diplomatic friends. The Bahamas established diplomatic relations with Senegal, Kyrgyzstan, Djibouti, Palau, and Angola. These partnerships will create opportunities in trade, in cultural exchange, and in international cooperation. As I said earlier, our voice is stronger in global forums when we work with others to speak in a unified way on key issues. Finally, I want to thank the Bahamian people for the privilege of the work we do. There are inevitably bumps along the way, but we are making important progress on many fronts. Last week, S&P Global Ratings announced that the Bahamas' long-term sovereign credit rating was upgraded with a stable outlook. And further, a likely further upgrade will happen in the short term. It went from B-, single B- to from single B+ to double B-. And they indicated that a further upgrade is likely to happen in the short term. This is our country's first upgrade in more than a decade. It tells the world that confidence is returning to the Bahamian economy. Where there was doubt, there's now trust in our ability to grow, manage debt, and create stability. A stronger rating opens the door to lower borrowing costs, greater investor confidence, and new opportunities for Bahamian businesses. This upgrade, of course, is not the end of the road. There is still work ahead, but it is proof that progress is real, that step by step, our country is moving in the right direction. So tonight, even as we mark that progress, we're also carrying the weight of loss and the lessons of resilience. We are mourning the passing of Vaughn. We are recovering from Tropical Storm Imelda, and we are reflecting on the work we carried out at the United Nations. These may seem like separate moments, but together they tell the story of who we are. Vaughn's life reminds us that leadership is about service and humility. Imelda reminds us that resilience is part of our national character. And the United Nations reminds us that even a small country can stand tall when they speak with clarity and purpose. We have known sorrow before, and each time we have honored and healed. We have known storms before, and each time we have prepared, endured, and rebuilt. And though we are small in size, time and again we have raised our voice, and the world has listened. That is the story of the Bahamas. That is the strength of our people. So today, let us honor Vaughn Miller. Let us remain cautious until every storm warning is lifted. And let us move forward with confidence together. May God bless the memory of Vaughn Miller. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Prime Minister. And I just have one brief addendum to the list of schools that are closing. Cleveland Enos is also on that list. It will be closing tomorrow. With that, I will now turn it over to members of the press for Q&A. In the interest of time, we will be limiting questions to an outlet. So we do ask that you identify yourself when you ask a question. But with that said, I'd like to open it up to the floor, to media.
Jose, I from Eyewitness News. Yeah.
Yes, go ahead.
Yes,
Sorry.
Granted, the altar has been given from the province, but we just want to know what extra steps are being taken to assist residents who suffered damage to their homes. We see this flooding damaging quite a number of homes throughout the province. And so perhaps any assistance that those residents could get.
I'm going to invite the Managing Director to field that question from you.
Yes, thank you for that. We have been working through our partners at Ministry of Works to bring relief to those individuals that may have suffered some damage. Primarily, the damage is centered around flood damage, and the Ministry of Works teams are on the ground with their crews trying to bring relief to those residents. We've also evacuated a number of those residents to shelters that are still active as we speak. And so we'll continue to provide that assistance as best as possible. Additionally, we have also provided TARP to residents through the various members of Parliament to support some of the challenges that they may have received due to the heavy downfall.
And additionally, this passage of the really exposed the issue of drainage, right? Because we're seeing now hours later, some areas the water hasn't receded. So what are we doing to really address this issue where there's lack of drainage?
That's a question, I think, for Ministry of Works, but I can tell you that their crews have been... Okay.
Having served as Minister of Works at some point in time, we have to understand the nature of our landmass, right? Our landmass is porous, limestone. Water comes up, and our water table is very low. You could have drainage in certain areas that helps the water go off quicker than ordinarily. But when you have such, because of what's happening now with climate change, with rising sea levels, that means water comes up. You could drill holes, and you could bring some relief, but not sufficient relief to bring immediate relief. Hence, you have pump trucks out as we speak, pulling off the water, pulling it out, and moving it out to a basin to ensure that we bring relief. But it's the nature of our landmass that complicates what a drainage could do. But I know in our briefing with the RM, which we do at least once a month, once we're in the hurricane season, the Ministry of Work has been cleaning drainages, and all the drainage in New Providence, I'm advised, were cleaned long before this event. I think that's it.
Prime Minister.
I know Travis is not going to let me go. Yes, Travis. Yeah. Oh. No, you can, sir.
Some of the positive accomplishments we've seen so far with the economy. I did want to ask about the What was your reaction to that? Because quite a high number of people who were listed as unemployed.
I got an understanding of how they arrive at those numbers, and you have to appreciate that there are periods when there are down periods. So, for example, I'm advised that those numbers may have gone up because of the close of the grouper season. Fishermen were not working, and they've added them to the unemployment rate. That's one factor. The second factor that contributed to the number is that we now have more, which is encouraging. We have more persons looking for work, and if you all in arriving at the unemployment number, they have. If you are not looking for work, if you're not looking for work and you're not working, you're not factored in those numbers. But if you are looking for a job and you're not working, you're factored into the unemployment number. So what we have discovered from the assessment is that there are more persons encouraged to look for a job at the snapshot when that was taken than the same period last year.
Might be a cheeky question.
I expect it.
When you were in opposition, when unemployment was pretty high under Menace.
Pardon me?
You said when unemployment was, I think, 10.4% under Menace.
It wasn't that.
You treated it as poor leadership, and I'm wondering if you feel that way now.
No, because I'm telling you why. I don't feel that way now, because I'm telling you why. If it was poor leadership, you would have the amount of persons working. When you look at the number of persons working now, if you look at what Moody's is saying about us, all that is and all that tells about leadership. And if you want to start from where I started in 2021, where we were and where we are today, even the IMF had to indicate we did an amazing job, and they put it in writing. They told me, or they put remarkable, even more remarkable job. Now, would you write that for me? I'm being cheeky now too. Remarkable job. So if that, and as I said, don't forget that's that month. That's the month they do these work analysis by month, and they compare it with the month, the last year. And now let's look at the next month and see how that looks.
I was going to say next, Albert.
Yeah.
Good afternoon. I know officials here from the are able to speak to the impact the tropical storm had on the system. I know some people are still without power, and I guess when they can expect restoration.
I believe that you are able to answer that question, Mr. COO.
Anthony Christie, Chief Operating Officer of BPL. Protocol already being established. Good evening, Bahamas. Tropical storm Imelda brought heavy rain, strong winds, and flooding across several islands in the northwest and central Bahamas. As a result, our electrical infrastructure faced many challenges. From the moment the storm began to impact our islands, Bahamas Power and Light Company Limited emergency response teams were working around the clock, often in difficult and dangerous conditions, to restore electricity as quickly and safely as possible. I am proud to report that the majority of our customers who lost power had it restored in less than 24 hours. This level of response reflects both the dedication of our teams and the strength of our restoration protocols. I also want to acknowledge the support of our customers. Many of you use our own new Service Hub platform to submit outage reports with location tag photos and details. That information allowed us to deploy crews with greater precision and speed, making a real difference on how quickly we responded. Together, our teams on the ground and our customers across the Bahamas have shown resilience and partnership in the face of this storm. Here are some of the highlights and issues across the islands. Crooked Island, Acklins, Inagua, and Maguana, all these islands remain stable with power supply. No major outages were reported following tropical storm. Abaco, North, Central, and South, and some of the Keys, they had a number of issues based upon the high wind speeds, and as we already mentioned, they continue to have some challenges as we speak. So we had some transmission faults, we had high voltage lines that came down, but at 4 o'clock today, about 50% of the affected customers had been restored. We still have a number of the keys that are still offline, and crews are awaiting the passage of the storm and better weather conditions in order to address these areas. Bimini, Great Harbor Key, and Bullocks Harbor, they remain largely online, only experiencing intermittent rainfall. Great Harbor Key remained online. Bullocks Harbor had a minor outage that was restored early this morning. Cat Island did have an outage that occurred due to a unit tripping and a pole damage, but again, this was restored within 30 minutes of the severe weather storm passing. But by 12:15 today, all customers were energized, and again, within less than 24 hours of the initial outage. So again, customers on Cat Island and across the Bahamas, again, were using the service hub and reporting all of these outages, and we were able to identify and respond to these as quickly as possible. Eleuthera, as of 4 p.m. today, supply has been restored from Hatchet Bay to Bannerman Town, with only small areas being offline. A small pocket of consumers in Tarpon Bay remain off due to the transformer issue, and again, in Governor's Harbor, there's still a damaged pole to be repaired. In North Eleuthera, the Gregorytown feeder would have tripped, causing intermittent supply outages, but again, customers in Rock Sound that were impacted were restored by late this afternoon. Long Island had an emergency outage, not due to the storm, but due to a high voltage pole that was restored, and so communities in Deadman Skeeter Gardens were restored by the end of the day. New Providence, where we face a number of challenges, is still ongoing. We recorded about 582 calls across the weekend, in particular today. That impacted about 1,500 or more customers. So outages. Nassau Village, Wolf Road, Paradise Island, Pinewood, and more. There were some transformer explosions as reported, but again, majority of the issues remain due to flooding and the high wind.
about Haiti in my comments. I start off by indicating that from in and about 2022, under the Biden-Harris administration, the U.S. government asked me to sign a treaty when we had a CARICOM U.S. summit at Summit of Americas, which would to assist in seeking permission from the Bahamas to accept a certain amount of Haitians. My colleagues like Barbados, Guyana, Trinidad, they signed. I did not. I indicated them that I could not. And they've asked, and since then they've asked again. And I said I could not. Our front line, we are disproportionately impacted by the issues that impact Haiti. And we cannot take on any more than what we have been forced to take on because of the circumstances of our geography. And that's the position. Insofar as visa, the visa situation with the United States, that's their decision. But for them to come to the Bahamas, they need a visa from our government to let them in, to be able to go to the embassy here to get their visa. That's the decision of the United States government. We're not going to get involved in that decision of theirs. But the Haitian national has to be in the Bahamas to be able to go there. And we are protecting our borders.
Saying there may have been maybe a review even on our side giving Haitians visas as well.
Yeah.
And how is really on that? Are we still going to be more stringent, or are we still going to be covering that now?
We will be protecting our borders to ensure that we protect Bahamians in this country, to ensure that there's no competition for services and no competition for jobs. And we'll do what it takes to get that done.
Thank you.
No questions from ZNS? Okay. Okay, if there are no more questions, we will bring this press conference to a close. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you, Prime Minister, for your time, and all the cabinet ministers, to Commissioner and Commodore also for your time, and to BPL for answering questions as well. To everyone out there in the Bahamas, I tell you to stay safe and to continue to heed the instructions of the DRM Authority and the Met until we have entirely received the all clear later today.
On our News Live at 7, New Providence underwater. Across the island, residents emerged to flooded homes, businesses, and streets. We take a look at some of the affected areas and the cleanup already underway. Also tonight, government's response to the flooding as Avaconians in the northern Bahamas face flooding and storm damage, some frustrated by the conditions and the recovery that is still ahead. We also have reports out of San Salvador and Grand Bahama, both spared any serious damage. Our Joshua Williams is fresh from San Salvador, live on the ground tonight. And then in our news at 7:30, we are back here in New Providence talking to residents whose homes are underwater, now left to clean up and to begin the repairs. Our news live at 7 starts now. Tropical storm Imelda may have moved on, but her impact is still being felt across the country tonight. From flooded streets in the capital to power outages and cleanup efforts, the storm may be gone, but the recovery is just beginning. Flooded streets stalled cars and residents carefully making their way through high waters in the capital. Some roads were blocked off, forcing drivers to divert. And in several communities, residents couldn't even leave their homes. And even though the storm has moved on, it leaves behind a powerful reminder of just how quickly conditions can change during severe weather. Welcome to our News Live at 7. I'm Jerome Sawyer in for Kendino Knowles tonight. We begin with team coverage of the storm's aftermath from the island's hardest hit, more specifically here in New Providence. Our Bethany McDermott is live at the Disaster Risk Management Authority, where the Prime Minister, just back from the United Nations in New York, is addressing the recovery efforts. Our Delvado Emmanuel continues his coverage on the ground in Abaco, tracking conditions there tonight. But first, we go to Bethany McDermott, who's at the Disaster Risk Management Authority's headquarters on Gladstone Road. Bethany, the Prime Minister spoke along with a few other officials a short time ago. What can you give us? What's the very latest from that news conference?
During the press conference just ending here at the DRM Operations Center here on NEMA, a lot of information coming out of that. I guess one of the top bit of information, though, is that the all clear has been given for residents here on New Providence and some of the other islands following the passing of Tropical Storm Imelda, though. We also wanted to address that a lot of the residents who have been experiencing severe flooding issues here in the capital, the Disaster Risk Management Authority telling us that they have already started assisting those residents in terms of providing some help and as it relates to tarps and other supplies to help them. We also heard from Bahamas Power and Light. They told us that some of their customers, power was restored to those homes within 24 hours or in 30 minutes in some cases after the power supply was cut. However, in some areas, that's parts of Paradise Island, South Beach Estates, and the Grove West. We visited there today. We understand that the power supply is still out there. They are working to turn that power supply back on, but the company's COO telling us there is a process which involves the flood subsiding and the Ministry of Works first conducting their investments, their investigations rather. But again, the Met Department telling us that the all clear has been given for New Providence and some of the other islands.
And given the all clear, we also want to advise residents to please be careful in moving around. As you will know, the system would have had an excessive amount of rainfall, and there's some extreme flooding throughout the islands as a result of this. So, we're asking you to be careful in moving around. And also, we still expect some rainfall over Grand Bahama and Abaco tonight to add to what has already been in place. In addition, there's still some chance of some storm surge of about 1 to 3 feet over Abaco and eastern and northern Grand Bahama. So we'll continue to watch the system as we have been doing over the past few days. And it is our hope and prayer that by the end of the night, sometime tonight, we'll be able Imelda will move out of our area. Will become a hurricane tomorrow sometime away from the Bahamas.
Prime Minister Philip Davis also addressed this press conference here this afternoon. The Prime Minister announcing that government workers will return to work tomorrow, as well as public schools will be reopened with the exception of those that suffered from flood damage due to tropical storm. That tropical storm that passed over just yesterday. But of course, we will bring more details of that and our news at 7:30. But for now, coming to you live, Jerome, from the DRM Operations Center here on Gladstone Road, I'm Bethany McDermott, sending it back to you on the desk, Jerome.
Thanks a lot, BJ. Reporting live tonight from the Disaster Risk Management Authority. We'll check back with you a little later on in the newscast at 7:30. We move now on over to Abaco, where heavy rain and gusty winds from Imelda left parts of that island underwater overnight. And tonight, residents there are voicing frustration. This as shelters continue to fill with hundreds of people who decided not to to ride out the storm at home. Our Delvado Emmanuel is live in Abaco tonight, where they are still awaiting the all clear, expected later this evening. Delvado, have weather conditions improved there this evening at all?
Well, good evening, Jerome. Residents here in Abaco may have already experienced the worst subtropical storm Imelda, which brought gusty winds and heavy rainfall. Of course, those rainfalls left widespread flooding throughout the island. Now, I'm currently standing here at the Leonard Thompson International Airport here at Marsh Harbor, which is still flooded, which is still closed, pardon me, as parts of the runway remains flooded. I will allow my cameraman to pan just to give you an idea why we still have light. But this airport remains flooded. Now, this is an issue many residents here in Abaco are still facing.
This past, this water would have been already deteriorated out in the water, in the ocean. Yeah, man, because, no, man.
This Abaco resident visibly frustrated as he returned to check on his neighbors, only to find their yards completely submerged.
They had a drain. The drainage goes from right there. If you go down the road past the graveyard, that's where the big pipe is. That's where the drainage was. But it clogged up. Nobody come here and clean it up.
Here in Dunderstown, Abaco, across from the Credit Union Plaza, floodwaters were nearly a foot deep. Residents here say this is a regular occurrence whenever there's a storm.
I evacuated to a family member's house simply because I knew that the flooding would have happened and I just wanted to be safe.
Judith Nesbitt has been living in the community for nearly over a year, and today she had to wade through water just to get to her front door.
If it rains again, I know automatically the rain will come inside because it's in the back where the back door is and this the front door. So that's how far it is to getting inside the house.
As waters rose, more residents turned to the shelter at Central Abaco Primary School. By this afternoon, the numbers climbed to almost 150. According to shelter manager Glenda Archer-Knowles, one of them was a minor without his guardians.
He's 12 years old without an identification, but he had his father's number. I called the father to confirm that he is in fact at the shelter, so they are coming, but that wasn't made clear. You know, we have somewhat of a language barrier going on as well.
Island Administrator Ken Cartwright says there have been no storm-related injuries reported. And while the storm's strongest winds have already passed, the island is not in the clear just yet.
We still have to be vigilant and still be on guard. As we know, the storm is going to increase a bit, but hopefully that's going to be as it has already passed the island. Nonetheless, you can't take any chances.
Jerome, as you already heard from Prime Minister Philip Davis as well as other officials, that the all clear has not been given yet for here in Abaco as well as Grand Bahama. Primary schools, government public schools here in Ireland remains closed as flooding is still a concern. For now, sending it back to you at the desk, I'm Delvado Emmanuel.
Thank you so much, our Delvado Emmanuel, reporting live from Abaco tonight, and Berthany McDermott at the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Gentlemen, thank you to both of you. I know it's been a very long day. You've been covering this story from overnight and into the morning. Well, now we move on to Grand Bahama, where Tropical Storm Imelda has come and gone with minimal impact. The island saw rainfall last night, but conditions today were mostly calm, even sunny in some areas. Businesses were open for many residents. They said it felt like just another day. We've been advised that there were only minor power outages and little to no flooding reported. Our news cameraman Dave Mackey visited the Maurice Moore Primary School shelter that was activated over the weekend for East Grand Bahama residents following an evacuation order for low-lying areas. Social services official Godfrey Thierk says everyone at the shelter got the support they needed, thanking the police and defense force for their assistance. Meanwhile, Grand Bahama resident donor Eddie Vaughn stopped by just to help out.
They are being taken care of as it relates to breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And so we don't have any persons here who are complaining of anything. And so we are grateful for that. And we are also happy to know that the storm is not so bad to the point that we have to evacuate. You know, and so far we have been doing well in terms of a safe haven for persons at the Eastern Hemisphere. And so we basically have about 21 persons here at the shelter, ranging from the ages of 14 to 70.
We were here yesterday. I brought a lot of rice and other foods, and then a couple barrels of Kentucky, and then some ice and sodas and waters here at the Maurice Moore. Went out to East End. I just came back. On my way back, I stopped here. Went to Christ the King yesterday. Checked if they needed anything. Went to the hospital, to the Rand, as well as the command center. Took them. I think there was 42 of them there this morning, and I went and got breakfast for all of them and just walked in there and said, "Here, guys, thank you very much for what you do." And it's challenging for these people. I mean, bear in mind they've been away from their families for 2 days now.
Well, we turn now to San Salvador, where residents were spared the worst of Imelda's fury. Our Joshua Williams has been on the ground there since Friday and just returned here to the capital a short time ago after a long delayed flight. He's standing by live outside the Lyndon Pinling International Airport to share his experience tonight and the conditions on the island. Josh, I know you're happy to be home. What can you tell us tonight?
Good evening, Jerome. Just as you said, we landed just about an hour ago. Our flight was originally scheduled for 11:30. Didn't get in until after 6, and we've been there since Friday. We had our fair share of rain, wind, high seas, but we were spared the brunt of it. Residents were certainly grateful that it wasn't the story that was told during Hurricane Joaquin back in 2015.
Residents given the all clearance in Salvador after their community was spared the brunt of Tropical Storm Imelda. The slow-moving system passed over the island over the weekend as a tropical depression before becoming a named storm. Residents from as early as Friday were filling up their gas tanks and getting last-minute supplies from the grocery store. Saturday, heavy rainfall rolling in from the east, making visibility difficult along the roads. Waves crashed along the dock and barrier wall, and for a while things got quiet until another round of rain rolled in. On Sunday, it was much of the same, with heavier gusts of wind. By this morning, there were light showers off and on, and the daily Bahamas Air flight to the island delayed as a result of the weather in New Providence. This resident tells me he's grateful things weren't any worse.
Even though we got some of the other bands that brought some rain, and like last night, there were a little bit of lightning and thunderstorm. But, we fared very well. I think the persons in Sansal prepared themselves for the worst, but like most people say, prayer changes things.
Hurricane Joaquin was a powerful Category 4 storm whose strong winds and storm surge devastated Crooked Island, Acklins, Long Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador. Joaquin took the lives of 34 people, including the 33 crew members of the cargo ship El Faro, which sunk during the storm northeast of Crooked Island. This store owner says she's grateful they were not seriously impacted.
I was happy that I was able, because the boat came in on Friday. The boat was in Thursday, The boat was in on Thursday. So it was good that I had my supplies came in, because I know during the hurricane season, I try to keep stock on stuff that we will need during the hurricane season, especially the canned goods.
And for this resident and others I met, they said it's divine intervention that their island was spared from the storm.
He sit up in heaven with all power in his hand and make this earth his footstool. How this storm to come? He smiled. That's why I love my God. He's so great and mighty and powerful. I love to love him. He's my all.
Well, Jerome, now the focus on the island has gone from preparing for a storm to celebration. The island is preparing to celebrate its homecoming in about 2 weeks. And of course, our relationship with this community goes back 2 years ago during the Out Island series promotion. They said they want us to come back and cover. I said, I'll ask and see. Back to you, Jerome.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Josh. Thank you for putting me in the hot seat there. Well, also Josh is fresh from San Salvador, reporting live outside the airport there tonight. Josh has been on the island for a few days. I know he's happy to be back home, and we thank him and the people in San Salvador for certainly giving us that report. Well, while that San Salvador flight that Josh talked about was delayed and others were cancelled, Bahamas Air issuing a statement saying today's cancellations include routes to Rock Sound, Marsh Harbour and Freeport. The national flag carrier says safety remains its top priority and they'll continue to monitor conditions closely. Passengers are urged to check Bahamas Air's website and social media for updates or contact the reservations department there for assistance. New Providence residents getting the brunt of this system, and tonight they're cleaning up after heavy rains that brought high flood waters in several communities. Tropical Storm Imelda brought flash flooding, with some areas seeing up to 6 inches of rain In just a couple of hours, the deluge washed out roads, stalled cars, and filled homes with inches, even several feet of water in some cases. Communities like West Grove were hit hard. Bethany McDermott was in the area earlier today where he spoke to some homeowners.
Many residents across the island found themselves in a situation like this one. Imelda bringing heavy rainfall and severe flooding in many areas across New Providence, leaving some homeowners stranded inside their homes. As we drove through the West Grove, we found this man stuck in the floodwaters, and I felt led to assist.
I came down West Bay Street as I turned through, and I realized that after I dropped down so quick, I realized that, hey, and then I couldn't reverse back out on the main road.
Ray Thurston was heading to check on his sister, whose home flooded, when he found himself in this unfortunate predicament, stuck in knee-high water. Thurston says he walked out to try and pull his stalled bus out of the water.
It was too far in, so we actually pushed the bus to get it on dry ground, and after that, I was able to start it up. Now it's running, but smoking.
And then we came to this corner, Casuarina Avenue, and we're standing at the beginning of the corner. And as I'm standing here, the water is overflowing into my boots, but it gets worse as you go deeper into this corner. We spoke to one resident over the phone who told us that she and her family are trapped in their homes due to the flooding. But she says the flooding isn't just because of Tropical Storm Imelda. She says they've been dealing with this problem for days prior due to the constant rain we've been experiencing in the capital. She's hoping someone comes and assists them and rectify the issue sooner rather than later. But for others, the situation was different.
You see where those barrels are? That's how bad is it. That's how deep the water is. So it's very bad. And homes on both sides are flooded.
Bethel Stewart says she believes the flooding isn't just due to Imelda. She says her sister had to evacuate her home.
Just water to my, up here to my hip. I'm a tall person. I'm 5'9", so that's half of me.
Making matters worse is that residents had sewage issues due to the flooding. Mike Isaac says he's been living in his home for about 5 years and has never experienced this kind of flooding.
Just trying to get the water out the house, so getting it. But I think sometimes when cars go past, it'll push, but trying to get most of the stuff out. But I think we could be here for a little while.
Reporting for our news, I'm Bethany McDermott.
Thanks a lot, Bethany. Thanks for that reporting. I live in that area, and I can tell you my home flooded last night as well. It's been a difficult time for everyone. We're keeping a close eye on the tropics tonight. Although Tropical Storm Imelda is gone, meteorologist Greg Thompson is standing by in the Weather Center with the very latest. Greg, a busy few days, a busy overnight into today, but things finally seem to be clearing up, but just lots of water everywhere.
Of course, with Bethany, that story just now, we had rain before this. That was the concern. Once we get all of that water, the water had no place to go. So the ground was already saturated, and that's really one of the real reasons why we had some significant flooding. But yeah, Imelda's gone, so we say bye-bye. But we still have some trailing moisture across us, so we're going to see a couple more showers over the next couple of days. But partly cloudy skies outside, 84 degrees is our current temperature. It is still breezy, winds west-southwest at 22 miles per hour, and they are gusting higher than that. But your feels like temperature is a comfortable 88 degrees. Temperatures right now around the family of islands, 82 in Freeport, 83 in Marsh, Hababaco, 85 in Alistown, Bimini, 84s, Great Harbor Key, Nichols, San Andres, here in the capital and in Governor's Harbor, Central Bahamas, 83, Kemps Bay, 86, Black Point, Exuma, then we pick up 85s, Arthurstown, Kid Island, Georgetown, the Exumas, Port Nelson, Rum Key, Coburn Town, San Salvador, and Deadman's Key, all 84s there, Southeast Bahamas. 86 again in Duncantown, Rigadan, Providenciales, Turks and Caicos, Colonel Hill, Cricket Island, Delectable Bay, Abrahams Bay, and Matthewtown, Inagua, all 85 degrees at this hour. Satellite and radar composite, this is the setup. We have those two systems out there. Umberto, which is at 5 p.m., 29.1 degrees north, 68.1 west. Winds are very powerful out there, and its movement is racing towards the north-northwest at 13 miles per hour. That system will stay well to the east of us, and then we have Tropical Storm, well actually, going to be a hurricane in a short while, but Tropical Storm Imelda, winds up to 60 miles per hour, movement is towards the north at 9 miles per hour, but this system will continue to pull away from our area, and we will continue to see a couple of showers across the northwest, extreme northern islands, Grand Bahama, and the Abacos. And of course, as you heard in the early part of the newscast, tropical storm conditions remain in effect. We expect them to be dropped tonight, and conditions will be improving for the next couple of days. That's your first look at weather. Stick with us. A look at your extended forecast is still to come.
The Bahamas U23 baseball team falls to Puerto Rico, and the Grand Bahama Games are announced. Our Sports at 7 is coming up next.
You can't ignore watching. Be sure to hit that follow button. And if you want to see more content like this, follow all of our news social media pages. And hey, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss out on the top stories from the team you already trust.
NFL season is back, and Cable Bahamas is bringing the action straight to you.
Okay, so let I take it from here. This season, Cable Bahamas is the Bahamas' #1 NFL provider. More games than ever before. With any live fiber infinite bundle, Trio or Trio Plus, you unlock Thursday Night Football, Sunday Ticket in 4K, and every highlight that matters. Just opt in the Sports X for $5 a month.
And don't miss a touchdown. Sign up now.
Watch Thursday Night Football exclusively with Rev and a live fiber on channel 747 and 748.
Good evening, I'm Tage Adderley, and this is Our Sports at 7. The Bahamas sent a U23 team to Panama to compete in the Pan American Baseball Qualifiers. They dropped Game 1 to Puerto Rico yesterday. Starting pitcher Deshaun Forbes gave up 5 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings of action as the Bahamas fell 9-1 to Puerto Rico in Game 1 of the tournament. Catcher Caden Walker drove in the only run for the Bahamas when he drove in Keshawn Conliffe. Now that tournament is going on through the week. They played USVI earlier today. We'll have more on that tomorrow. Over in the north, they're gearing up for the Grand Bahama Games. The games, which are scheduled for the month of November, will bring out talent from all across the island and will honor local sports hero Churchill Tenor Knowles.
It's certainly a distinct honor and pleasure to be asked to be one of the honorees for the Grand Bahama Games.
And we'll have all the full stories at 7:30, so stay right here with us. This has been Our Sports at 7. I'm Tage Adderley.
When our news comes back from the break, we turn our spotlight to stories making headlines across the world as U.S. President Donald Trump welcomes the Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House as the president pushes a Gaza peace proposal. Plus, the latest on that Michigan church shooting, where a man crashed his vehicle through the front door and opened fire with an assault rifle, killing at least 4 people. And Guyana's president addresses the ongoing territorial controversy with Venezuela during a recent address to the United Nations. We'll have details when our news returns.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions that work, ask the experts. Call Cable Bahamas Business Solutions.
And I was just telling my friend I wish I could get my Our News updates sent to my phone, like a WhatsApp message or something, you know?
Haven't you heard?
Well, who say that?
It's me, Jerome, your news godfather, and I'm here to update your life.
Well, how do you plan to update my life exactly? Because I don't think I'm understanding. Care to elaborate?
Our News has launched its broadcast channel, so now most important updates come straight to your WhatsApp.
Dad, so you tell me that I have access to real-time updates and news at 7:30?
Yes, you get it first and direct and unfiltered.
Okay.
It's perfect for our viewers who want to stay on top of what's going on.
Well, I want to stay in tune. Are you talking about like recent crimes and political updates and heartfelt stories as well as sports coverage?
We're talking exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes content, major announcement, everything you actually care about.
Nice. I love the sound of that. So this is like VIP access to the news you don't want to know. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to press the notification bell on the WhatsApp broadcast channel so that you don't miss out on all of the real-time updates.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record. We challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public.
This is our news. Welcome back. We turn our attention now to stories making headlines across the world. U.S. President Donald Trump welcomes Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu to the White House Monday. Trump is pushing a Gaza peace proposal after a slew of Western leaders embraced a Palestinian statehood in defiance of American and Israeli opposition. In Netanyahu's fourth visit since Trump returned to office in January, the right-wing Israeli leader will be looking to shore up his country's most important relationship. Israel is facing growing international isolation nearly 2 years into its war against Hamas in the Gaza Strip. Well, the scene was quiet outside of a Michigan church one day after a man crashed his vehicle through the front doors and opened fire with an assault rifle, killing at least 4 people. Police said the perpetrator, identified as 40-year-old Thomas Jacob Sanford, is a former U.S. Marine from the nearby town of Burton. He's accused of deliberately setting fire to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. 2 of the shooting victims died and 8 others were hospitalized. Police Chief William Rene says 2 more bodies were found several hours after the shooting in the charred remains of the church.
We're working tirelessly to find additional bodies. So to answer your question, the entire church has not been cleared because it's a total loss due to the fire. So these first responders right now, they're in recovery mode. They're trying to fight through all the debris from the fire. So no, we have not cleared the entire church just yet.
3 people were killed and at least 8 others injured late on Saturday when a shooter aboard a boat pulled alongside a dockside restaurant in Southport, North Carolina, and began firing. Local media reported the shooting occurred around 9:30 local time at the American Fish Company restaurant and bar along the Intercoastal Waterway. Police said a person had been detained in connection with the shooting after fleeing the scene. And a bridge collapsed in the Dominican Republic, causing major disruptions to nearby communities and farming businesses over the weekend. The incident occurred on September 25th when a cargo truck was crossing the bridge. The driver was killed during that incident. An official told Reuters that a preliminary report showed a failure of the corbel when a heavy vehicle crossed the bridge. The driver's family believes the tragedy was caused by a lack of maintenance work. The collapsed bridge has left many communities cut off in the country's primary cocoa growing areas. And still to come on our news today in history, find out interesting facts about the day that was September 29th. Then in our news at 7:30, our Brittany McDermott is live at the DRM Authority with a full wrap-up on that news conference held there a short time ago. Plus, stranded by flood waters, our Danielle Miller takes a look at the massive flooding in several communities in the wake of Tropical Storm Imelda. That's coming up when our news returns.
I was just telling my friend I wish I could get my Our News updates sent to my phone, like a WhatsApp message or something, you know?
Haven't you heard?
Well, who say that?
It's me, Jerome, your news godfather, and I'm here to update your life.
Well, how do you plan to update my life exactly? Because I don't think I'm understanding. Care to elaborate?
Our News has launched its broadcast channel. So now, most important updates come straight to your WhatsApp.
Dad, so you tell me that I have access to real-time updates and news at 7:30?
Yes, you get it first and direct and unfiltered.
Okay.
It's perfect for our viewers who want to stay on top of what's going on.
Well, I want to stay in tune. Are you talking about like recent crimes and political updates and heartfelt stories as well as sports coverage?
We're talking exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes content, major announcement, everything you actually care about.
Nice. I love the sound of that. So this is like VIP access to the news you don't want to know. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to press the notification bell on the WhatsApp broadcast channel so that you don't miss out on all of the real-time updates.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record, we challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m.
On this day in Bahamian history, on the 29th of September 1729, the first meeting of Parliament took place and was held with 24 members representing New Providence, Eleuthera, and Harbour Island. Then in 1887, Inagua experienced severe shocks of earthquakes that were outlined in the Inagua Light Station report to the Inspector of Lighthouses. And fast forward to 2020, former House Speaker and Nassau Village MP Halston Moultrie called for the death penalty to be carried out after 2 children were slain in his constituency. Well, for more on the day that was September 29th, be sure and head over to ournews.bs. Of course, to watch all of today's stories again and for a look at all of the top stories, whether it's the flood, update on world news, or whatever happened today, ournews.bs is your spot. Well, that does it for Our News at 7. Joining us now is our Italia Hall with a look at what's coming up at 7:30. Italian, it's been a very long day for you and the crew.
Very long weekend.
And still a lot of news to tell folks about tonight, eh?
For sure. Thanks so much, Jerome. Well, coming up, we have reports from the island of Abaco, Grand Bahama, San Salvador, and the capital following the passage of Tropical Storm Imelda. Here are your latest headlines. Coming up on Our News at 7:30, flooded streets, down power lines, and travel disruptions. We are covering the aftermath of Tropical Storm Imelda. The very latest on cleanup recovery. Our Berthany McDermott has highlights from that news conference held by the Disaster Risk Management Authority moments ago. Plus, New Providence residents still stranded by massive flood waters. We've had news teams on the ground all day surveying the damage and talking to residents. Meanwhile, Grand Bahama residents breathe a sigh of relief as they are spared from the latest weather system. And later, Nassau's main gateway, LPIA, reopens after nearly a 24-hour shutdown. The story when Our News live at 7:30 returns.
I was just telling my friend I wish I could get my Our News updates sent to my phone, like a WhatsApp message or something, you know?
Haven't you heard?
Well, who say that?
It's me, Jerome, your news godfather, and I'm here to update your life.
Well, how do you plan to update my life exactly? Because I don't think I'm understanding. Care to elaborate?
Our News has launched its broadcast channel. So now, most important updates come straight to your WhatsApp.
Dad, so you tell me that I have access to real-time updates and news at 7:30?
Yes, you get it first and direct and unfiltered.
Okay.
It's perfect for our viewers who want to stay on top of what's going on.
Well, I want to stay in tune. Are you talking about like recent crimes and political updates and heartfelt stories as well as sports coverage?
We're talking exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes content, major announcement, everything you actually care about.
Nice. I love the sound of that. So this is like VIP access to the news you don't want to miss. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to press the notification bell on the WhatsApp broadcast channel so that you don't miss out on all of the real-time updates.
More than 20 years in the making and still growing. Everywhere you turn, Our News is there. From Caripta to Karakomanchogam, the commendation of a queen, the coronation of a king, the controversies, our culture, in times of conscience and collective grief, connecting the stories of a country coming into its own, from then to now and still to come.
Tropical storm Imelda is gone, but her effects are still being felt across some islands tonight. Flooded roads, stalled cars, power cuts, and cleanup. Floodwaters covering the streets, cars stalled, and drivers forced to turn back as roads were blocked off areas in parts of the capital. In some neighborhoods, residents say they couldn't leave their homes because of rising water. It's a stark reminder, even as Imelda moves on, the danger doesn't always leave with the storm. Welcome to our news. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Atalia Hall. We're continuing our team coverage tonight as the country assesses the aftermath of Tropical Storm Imelda. Our Bethany McDermott is standing by at the Disaster Risk Management Authority, where the Prime Minister, back on Bahamian soil after attending the United Nations meeting in New York, addressed the nation's next step. And our Delvardo Emmanuel joins us from Abaco, where cleanup and assessments are now underway. We begin with our Bethany McDermott in the capital. Bethany, what can you tell us from that press briefing?
That's right, Italia. This joint press briefing between the Office of the Prime Minister and the Disaster Risk Management Authority wrapping up about a half hour ago. And like you mentioned, the Prime Minister briefed the press in that live press conference moments after he arrived back in New Providence from that UN meeting in New York. We heard that the all clear has been given for some islands, and that one of the islands is New Providence. But islands like Abaco and Grand Bahama remain under tropical storm warning as they still are experiencing the impact of that storm. The Prime Minister announcing that government offices will reopen tomorrow, as well as government schools on islands like New Providence, except for some schools that experienced severe flood damage from Tropical Storm Imelda.
With the exception of the following due to flooding issues. In New Providence, Sanders Primary, Sadie Curtis Primary, Clyde's Primary, Judith Thompson Primary, Buttonwood Preschool, Coconut Groves Preschool, Sybil Strawn Primary, Gerald Primary, Williamstown Primary, Central Abaco Primary, Moss Island School, and Cooperstown Preschool. We want to express our appreciation to the cooperation of parents, guardians, and staff.
Now, earlier I mentioned government offices. Government office will reopen tomorrow, and government schools, with the exceptions of the ones the Prime Minister just mentioned. We also heard, Italia, from Bahamas Power and Light, like we've seen in some of the stories earlier tonight in our news. Many residents experiencing flood damage, and as a result, they also are without power. Bahamas Power and Light telling us they're working to restore power to a number of areas, but that there is a system for that to happen. They must first wait for the water to subside in some areas. Then the Ministry of Works must conduct an assessment before they can go in to restore power in those areas. BPL telling us it's for the safety of their staff and consumers. Areas like parts of Paradise Island, South Beach Estates, and Grove West remain without power tonight. Italia.
All right, thanks so much for that update, Bethany. That's our Bethany McDermott reporting live tonight from the Disaster Risk Management Authority. We now move to Abaco, where heavy rain and gusty winds from Tropical Storm Imelda left parts of Abaco underwater overnight. Tonight, residents are voicing frustration. This as shelters continue to fill with hundreds of people who decided not to ride out the storm at home. Our Delvardo Emmanuel is in Abaco tonight live. Delvardo, have the weather conditions improved this evening?
Well, Italia, good evening, Italia. The weather and conditions have improved. We're still experiencing some gusty wind here tonight. Of course, I believe residents of Abaco have experienced the worst of Tropical Storm Imelda, The storm overnight brought gusty winds as well as heavy rainfalls, which caused widespreading throughout the island. Now, I'm currently standing here at the Leonard Thompson International Airport, which remains closed tonight as parts of the runway remains underwater. It's the issue residents here on the island are facing tonight.
The road this pass, this water would have been already deteriorated out in the water, in the ocean. Yeah, man, because no, man.
This Abaco resident visibly frustrated as he returned to check on his neighbors, only to find their yards completely submerged.
They are the drain. The drainage goes from right there. If you go down the road past the graveyard, that's where the big pipe is. That's where the drainage was. But it clog up. Nobody come here and clean it up.
Here in Dunderstown, Abaco, across from the Credit Union Plaza, floodwaters were nearly a foot deep. Residents here say this is a regular occurrence whenever there's a storm.
I evacuated to a family member's house simply because I knew that the flooding would have happened and I just wanted to be safe.
Judith Nesbitt has been living in the community for nearly over a year, and today she had to wade through water just to get to her front door.
If it rains again, I know automatically the rain will come inside because it's in the back where the back door is and this the front door. So that's how far it is to getting inside the house.
As waters rose, more residents turned to the shelter at Central Abaco Primary School. By this afternoon, the numbers climbed to almost 150. According to shelter manager Glenda Archer Knowles, one of them was a minor without his guardians.
He's 12 years old without an identification, but he had his father's number. I called the father to confirm that he is in fact at the shelter, so they are coming, but that wasn't made clear. You know, we have somewhat of a language barrier going on as well.
Island Administrator Ken Cartwright says there have been no storm-related injuries reported. And while the storm's strongest winds have already passed, the island is not in the clear just yet.
Well, we still have to be vigilant and still be on guard. As we know, the storm is going to increase a bit, but hopefully that's going to be as it has already passed the island. Nonetheless, you can't take any chances.
Well, Itala, we just heard moments ago from Prime Minister Philip Davis as well as other officials who have says that tropical storm warning remains here on Abaco as well as in Grand Bahama. Now, primary schools here, public schools here on the island remains closed as flooding is still an issue as well as they are also expecting more rains. For now, I will send it back to you, to Italia.
All right, thanks so much. Our Delvado Emmanuel reporting live from Abaco tonight, and our Bertha McDermott at the Disaster Risk Management Authority. Thank you so much, gents. And over in Grand Bahama, my hometown, a sigh of relief as Tropical Storm Imelda moved past the island with little impact. It rained through the night and winds picked up early this afternoon, but by midday, the sun broke through the clouds and conditions looked as if nothing had happened. Businesses reopened and many described it as a beautiful day. There were only minor power outages and no reports of significant flooding. Our news cameraman David Mackey visited the Morrismore Primary Shelter, activated for East Grand Bahama residents who evacuated out of caution. The Red Cross helping those at the shelter, Representatives Elizabeth Martin and Reverend Andrea Taylor sharing their experience, while well-known cook Zelma Davis prepared food at the shelter.
We mainly check to make sure that they don't have any medical needs, and if they do, we will refer them to the other Christ the King Church, which has the nurses and doctors at hand to deal with any serious problems.
We're here from Saturday at about 1 o'clock, and we're still here waiting for the all clear.
And how's it been going?
Pretty good. There's no problems. Everybody was just helping each other, and we're doing great.
I can't remember how many years, but I take it on myself. And I would come and bring my little stove and my pots and pans, and I cook like 2 or 3 meals every day until we leave. Wow. And feed everyone with no expense to anybody, only myself. I enjoy that.
All right, such a great effort, Ms. Davis. We now turn to San Salvador, where residents were spared the worst of Tropical Storm Imelda's fury. Our Joshua Williams has been on the ground there since Friday and just returned to the capital this evening after a delayed flight. He's standing by live outside the Lyndon Pinling International Airport to share what the journey back was like and the conditions on the island. Josh?
Good evening, Italia. Yes, we're still here at LPI, and excuse me. In fact, a number of passengers traveling still arriving at the airport, no doubt a result of some of those delayed flights. The airport shutting down early this morning as a result of the bad weather, and we experienced some of it over the weekend in San Salvador.
Residents given the all clearance in Salvador after their community was spared the brunt of Tropical Storm Imelda. The slow-moving system passed over the island over the weekend as a tropical depression before becoming a named storm. Residents from as early as Friday were filling up their gas tanks and getting last-minute supplies from the grocery store. Saturday, heavy rainfall rolling in from the east, making visibility difficult along the roads. Waves crashed along the dock and barrier wall, and for a while things got quiet until another round of rain rolled in. On Sunday, it was much of the same, with heavier gusts of wind. By this morning, there were light showers off and on, and the daily Bahamas Air flight to the island delayed as a result of the weather in New Providence. This resident tells me he's grateful things weren't any worse.
Even though we got some of the other bands that brought some rain, and like last night, there were a little bit of lightning and thunderstorm. But, we fared very well. I think the persons in Sunsal prepared themselves for the worst, but like most people say, prayer changes things.
Hurricane Joaquin was a powerful Category 4 storm whose strong winds and storm surge devastated Crooked Island, Acklands, Long Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador. Joaquin took the lives of 34 people, including the 33 crew members of the cargo ship El Faro, which sunk during the storm northeast of Crooked Island. This store owner says she's grateful they were not seriously impacted.
I was happy that I was able, because the boat came in on Friday. The boat was in Thursday, sorry. The boat was in on Thursday. So it was good that I had my supplies came in, because I know during the hurricane season, I try to keep stock on stuff that we will need during the hurricane season, especially the canned goods.
And for this resident and others I met, they said it's divine intervention that their island was spared from the storm.
He sit up in heaven with all power in his hand and make this earth his footstool. How this storm to come, he smile. That's why I love my God. He's so great and mighty and powerful. I love to love him. He's my all.
Reporting for Our News, I'm Joshua Williams.
And of course, Italia, no damage reported, not much flooding on the island. We even saw engineers and inspectors from the Ministry of Works carrying out their duties as they prepare to pave roads. That community now focus on their homecoming in 2 weeks. Italia?
All right, Josh, thanks so much. I'm glad you're back safe. Our Joshua Williams reporting live outside the Lynden Pinling International Airport tonight. And still on airport operations, this as operations at the airport resumed at 10 a.m. following the all clear from Tropical Storm Imelda for New Providence. The airport shut down at midnight on Sunday due to the incoming storm. Imelda brought heavy rainfall and severe flooding in many areas across New Providence, especially in western New Providence. Nassau Airport Development Company's Vice President of Operations, Jonathan Hanna, giving us the latest update on operations this afternoon.
Since resuming flight operations at 10 a.m. this morning, things continue to go relatively well at the Lynden Pinling International Airport. Since then, we've accommodated more than 115 flight operations, and that's representing both our commercial and general aviation sectors. We continue to work hand in hand with our airline partners, as we know that they are trying to make up ground for a lost day yesterday as a result of the suspension in service. And so we expect that flights will continue to operate well into the evening hours, and we will continue to be there to support them to ensure that we can move each and every guest as quickly, but most importantly, as safely as possible.
Back open and back to business. The Nassau Cruise Port reopening today following the passage of Tropical Storm Imelda. Officials confirm operations are running as normal with 3 cruise ships in port, the Carnival Freedom, Disney Magic, and the MSC Seascape, bringing nearly 10,000 visitors to the capital. Retail shops at the port also open as officials praise partners in cruise for helping to ensure a smooth operation. Many in the eastern and southern New Providence are dealing with the aftermath of Imelda, which brought heavy rain Sunday night and early Monday morning, causing significant flooding across several communities. Our Daniel Miller visited those communities today and found dozens of areas impassable due to flood waters, leaving residents and motorists trapped in their homes and stalled out cars.
Resident telling me that it's too deep for me to get to her house. She advised us not to walk through there. In the greenhouse? Thank you. How y'all doing inside though? Y'all furniture got messed up?
That was one resident in Pinewood describing the disastrous condition of her home after Imelda dumped inches of rain in that community. The system, which was predicted to have rainfall of 4 to 8 inches, converted streets into lakes, leaving some residents barricaded in their homes and others seeking shelter, like Ronnie. He told me he was forced to leave his Pinewood home at 1 this morning.
Fences were all destroyed and there's flooded. Nothing you could do. Nothing.
Over in Yamacraw, resident Ivan Rolls Sr. found himself trapped in his stalled car. He was on his way to the grocery store. Like many motorists traveling on the streets on Monday, he underestimated how deep the floodwaters were.
So I started to go through it, felt good, but I didn't judge the depth of the road right there. So I continued to drive, and then all I see is lights on my dashboard. I stalled out, so I decided to call the wrecker.
The tow truck driver was Basil Dean, owner of Mr. B's Towing. Dean told me between Sunday night and 10 a.m. he'd already towed 7 vehicles from floodwaters, and Mr. Roll's vehicle made number 8.
Jeeps, sedans, SUVs, trucks.
Reporting for our news, I'm Danielle Miller.
All right, thanks so much for that, Danny. And coming up, we have some videos sent in by our viewers captured after Tropical Storm Imelda passed through the capital. You can see the aftermath, more flooded streets and residents carefully making their way through high waters across parts of New Providence. Cars struggling to pass through water, and several roadways were blocked off, forcing drivers to divert. We now go to our meteorologist, Greg Thompson, who's live in the Weather Center with the latest. Greg, interesting videos we just saw.
Yeah, unfortunately, we expected these flooding rainfalls. And of course, as we had some rainfall prior, the ground was already saturated. So this rainfall with this system had really nowhere to go. So that 48 inches did materialize. And in my backyard, I have a rain gauge there between Saturday and when it stopped raining early this morning. Had almost 10 inches of rainfall falling in that gauge, so a lot of water with this system. Fortunately for us, it's moving away. We still have some trailing moisture across the area. We'll see that in our satellite picture, but it's going to keep us a bit on the cloudy side for the night. Breezy conditions, 84 degrees, west-southwest winds at 22 miles per hour. It feels like temperature is at 88. Imelda is still a tropical storm. The latest position for Imelda, 27.7 degrees north, 77.3 west. Winds up to 60 miles per hour. Its movement is towards the north at 9 miles per hour. And the system will continue to be moving in that direction and away from us. But Abaco, Grand Bahamas, still under tropical storm warning. The remainder of the Bahamas that warning has been dropped. So we expect that to continue for a couple more hours before Imelda gets out of here. And we're looking for some improving conditions. But as I mentioned, trailing moisture across our area will continue to keep us with some showers in the forecast. That's your quick check on conditions around the islands. Stick with us. A look at the tropics, and your extended forecast is still to come.
The country is in mourning tonight following the passing of Golden Isles member Paulman Vaughn Miller, a government minister, pastor, and well-known radio voice. Flags are being flown at half-mast this week as tributes pour in for the late minister. And later, the sudden passing of veteran funeral director Keith McSweeney Sr. Police confirming the longtime mortician was found unresponsive earlier today. That's all coming up when our news returns.
Hello, I'm Jerome Sawyer, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Now, if you want to continue to receive this great content, be sure and hit that button right over there. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. That way, you continue to get all of this great content from the team you already trust.
Hey, Greg Thompson here, and thank you for watching. Be sure to hit that follow button. And if you want to see more content like this, follow all of our news social media pages. And hey, don't forget to turn on your notifications so you never miss out on the top stories from the team you already trust.
NFL season is back, and Cable Bahamas is bringing the action straight to you.
Okay, so I take it from here. This season, Cable Bahamas is the Bahamas' #1 NFL provider. More games than ever before. With any live fiber infinite bundle, Trio or Trio Plus, you unlock Thursday Night Football, Sunday Ticket in 4K, and every highlight that matters. Just opt in the Sports X for $5 a month.
And don't miss a touchdown. Sign up now.
Watch Thursday Night Football exclusively with the Rev and the Live Fiber on channel 747 and 748.
Embrace technology and the digital transformation for better business results. For small business owners, it's essential to understand how technology can affect operational efficiencies. Modern communication relies on technology, and your customer service depends on communication. With proper tools like our fixed and mobile services, we help you stay connected. For solutions,
The nation is continuing to mourn the loss of Golden Isles Member of Parliament Vaughn Miller. Miller, who served as Environment and Natural Resources Minister since 2021, passed away early Sunday morning. The outspoken MP was an ordained minister, well-known voice on ZNS Gospel Radio as well. His passing marks the end of nearly a decade-long political journey. He was first elected in 2017 under the Free National Movement administration and later returned under the Progressive Liberal Party in 2021. The Cabinet Office announcing today that Bahamian flags will be flown at half-mast or half-staff for the rest of the week. A state funeral will be announced at a later date. At the DRM press conference this evening, the Prime Minister remembered him as a remarkable man who touched the lives of many.
My fellow Bahamians, we have lost a friend and a servant to the public, the Honorable Vaughn Miller. Vaughn's passing is a shock. It is a loss felt not only in government, but in homes and communities across our country. He began his life's work in the church, ministering to people's spiritual needs. And when he stepped into public service, he carried that same calling with him. Compassion was at the heart of his service.
And some more sad news to report tonight. A well-known funeral director, Keith McSweeney Sr., has passed away. The Restview Memorial Mortuary and Crematorium's director was reportedly found unresponsive. Police issued a statement this afternoon saying a man was found unresponsive with apparent injuries in a pool of water in the parking lot of a business on Robinson Road. An autopsy will be conducted to determine the exact cause of death. His family releasing a statement this morning expressing profound sadness over the passing of their beloved husband, father, and lifelong mortician. The family says he was dedicated to his work and became a trusted figure in his field as he served families in their most difficult times with compassion, strength, and dignity.
We see how the Bahamas national baseball team did down in Panama, and the Grand Bahama Games honors a local sports pioneer. All that's coming up next on Our Sports at 7:30.
My friend, I wish I could get my Our News updates sent to my phone, like a WhatsApp message or something, you know?
Haven't you heard?
Well, who say that?
It's me, Jerome, your news godfather, and I'm here to update your life.
Well, how do you plan to update my life exactly? Because I don't think I'm understanding. Care to elaborate?
Our News has launched its broadcast channel, so now most important updates come straight to your WhatsApp.
Dad, so you tell me that I have access to real-time updates and news at 7:30?
Yes, you get it first and direct and unfiltered.
Okay.
It's perfect for our viewers who want to stay on top of what's going on.
Well, I want to stay in tune. Are you talking about like recent crimes and political updates and heartfelt stories as well as sports coverage?
We're talking exclusive updates, behind-the-scenes content, major announcements, everything you actually care about.
Nice. I love the sound of that. So this is like VIP access to the news you don't want to miss. So what are you waiting for? Be sure to press the notification bell on the WhatsApp broadcast channel so that you don't miss out on all of the real-time updates.
Every week, one show drives the national conversation. On the Record. We challenge the issues, ask the tough questions, and dig deeper. We bring in the experts, the decision makers, and the voices that matter. Our discussions shape policy, influence change, and inform the public like no other. Join us every Thursday at 8 p.m. and again on Sunday at 8:30 p.m. Catch us streaming live on Facebook or catch up with your favorite episodes on our YouTube channel. The conversations that shape the Bahamas start here, on the Record.
Joshua Williams here. Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that follow button and to follow all of our social media pages. Also, don't forget to push that notification button so that you can see all of the great content from the team you already trust.
NFL season is back, and Cable Bahamas is bringing the action straight to you.
Okay, so let I take it from here. This season, Cable Bahamas is the Bahamas' #1 NFL provider. More games than ever before. With any live fiber infinite bundle, Trio or Trio Plus, you unlock Thursday Night Football, Sunday Ticket in 4K, and every highlight that matters. Just opt in the Sports X for $5 a month.
And don't miss a touchdown. Sign up now.
Happy Monday, it's a new week and this is our Sports at 7:30. The Bahamas U23 baseball team competed in the Pan Am U23 World Qualifiers in Panama yesterday. Here's how the team did. The guys from the 242 fell 9-1 to Puerto Rico last night at the Estadio Justina Salinas in La Chorrera, Panama. Starting pitcher Deshaun Forbes gave up 5 runs on 4 hits in 5 innings of action as the Bahamas fell 9-1 to Puerto Rico in Game 1. Catcher Caden Walker drove in the only run for the Bahamas when he drove in Keshawn Conliffe in a single at the bottom of the 7th. Keshawn Conliffe and Benjamin DePuch both got pinch hits as well. Eldrick Felix had 3 RBI to lead Puerto Rico. Now the team went earlier today against the USVI. We'll get you a recap of that one tomorrow night. We're going to take you to Grand Bahama now, where organizers of the Grand Bahama Games made a big announcement recently.
I urge the Grand Bahama community to come out and support the Grand Bahama Games as we try get things in order as a prelude to the Bahama Games, which is scheduled to be held in New Providence in 2026.
That's Chairman of the Grand Bahama Sports Council, Darrell Ware, recently announcing the Grand Bahama Games.
This year, we will be catering to 5 disciplines, which will be volleyball, softball, soccer, baseball, and basketball.
This year's edition will honor the great Bahamian sportsman Churchill Tanner Knowles, who is personally excited for the event.
It's certainly a distinct honor and pleasure to be asked to be one of the honorees for the Grand Bahama Games. It brings the island together. And I recall what my good friend, he's no longer here, Greg Christie coined the phrase, unity through sports. Unity through sports. And that was our motto ever since 1992. And so I'm just pleased to be a part of it and see that it's going on again.
Knowles established the Games when they first began in 1992 and served as its chairman for many years. He is also founder of the Grand Bahama Regatta Committee, where he currently sits as its chair. Sports Minister Mario Bolag is excited for the Games to start.
It gives Grand Bahama, the various areas such as West End and 8 Mile Rock have their own representatives to represent them in the various sporting discipline. And then at the end of the day, Grand Bahama is going to put the best team they think possible in each discipline to represent them in the Bahama Games, which will hopefully be held in July next year.
Now, according to Bolag, the plan is for every island to have their own games, but Grand Bahama is going to lead the way. Once again, the games start November 3rd in Grand Bahama. Well, that'll do it for 7:30 Sports. I'm Tage Adderley. I'll see you tomorrow evening.
When our news comes back from the break, tracking the tropics. Greg is back with the latest when our news continues. Stay with us.
The future of
Family, how you look so down? Set up all cold and flu, could flip that frown. All the coughing and that running nose cannot last. You must come back to work and class. Set up all can deal with that fast, yeah. Try set up all cold and flu, daytime and nighttime too. Try Cetamol, cold and flu, and get back to the better you. Available at pharmacies nationwide.
Distributed by Lowe's Wholesale Drug Agencies Limited.
What do you get when you're searching for the whole truth?
Less than 24 hours after the body of 12-year-old was discovered on a track road on Faith Avenue, police say they...
You get the most comprehensive half hour of news.
Breach of the party's constitution. Behind me is what remains of the Victoria Court apartment complex.
Our News at 7 brings you that truth in all of the day's top stories, sports, and our view of the world. Join me, Kendino Knowles, weeknights for Our News at 7. Stay with the team you already trust.
In what we do at Best Brew, it really doesn't end when the customer purchases our product. We offer specialty coffee, tea, spices, and brewing equipment. We do a lot of our orders via website. We actually have the mobile service and the phone service and the internet. So having business in a box really kind of brought everything together for us and helps us to be able to provide the customer services that we pride ourselves on.
My name is Troy Williams. I've been a Live Fiber customer since March 2024. The installation process was seamless, effortless, and extremely fast. The gentlemen that came to the installation were very helpful, reliable, very knowledgeable, and the time allocated to do the installation was shorter than the time.
This is our news. Welcome back. Two systems in the tropics, very near us. We have Imelda and we have Humberto, which is just to the east of Imelda. Of course, both systems are still churning out there. This system out here, Humberto, is a very powerful Category 4 storm. The current position, 29.1 degrees north, 68.1 west, and its winds up to 140 miles per hour. Its pressure is continuing to fall. Movement is towards the north-northwest at around 30 miles per hour, and the system will continue to track towards the north and well away from our area. But the one that has caused us so much problem, Imelda, still a tropical storm. Current position places it at 27.7 degrees north, 77.3 west, winds up to 60 miles per hour. Movement is towards the north, so it's moving away from the northern islands. Grand Bahama and the Abaco area still under tropical storm warnings. We do expect that to fall off or be discontinued for the remainder of the night as the system pulls towards the north and away from us. But trailing moisture across that area will continue to give us a couple of showers and maybe even isolated thunderstorm over the next couple of days as that moisture plume continues to hang around with Imelda out there. Taking a look at the remainder of the tropics, two areas we're going to continue to watch for the next possible development. One bay out there in the open Atlantic and another one in the western Gulf of Mexico, or what we call the Bay of Campeche. Future forecast showing the moisture associated with the system, Imelda to the north of us, still affecting Grand Bahama, Abaco, as well as the portions of Eleuthera by Tuesday. Some of that moisture will slide back towards the south, and then, of course, as I mentioned, over the next couple of days, the moisture will hang around as we still have that trailing moisture plume associated with Imelda still across the area. Boating, asking you boaters in the northwest Bahamas, remain important until we give you the all clear there. For the winds, west and northwest, 25 to 30 knots, 5 to 8 foot seas, but they have very choppy 12 foot seas and northeasterly swells. For the central Bahamas, caution flag, we're asking you to remain in port there as well, Southwest to west winds, 15 to 25 knots, 5 to 8 foot seas, but up to 10 feet along the Atlantic exposures. An advisory for the southeast Bahamas, southwesterly winds, 15 to 20 knots. They will be gusting higher times, seas 4 to 7 feet over open waters. Here's a look now at your national forecast. In the extended forecast, with that moisture plume from Imelda hanging across us, we will keep the showers across the board for the remainder of the week. Off and on showers continuing, but temperatures will stay in the upper 80s. Nighttime temperatures will be in the mid to upper 70s. That's a look at our weather. We say goodbye to Imelda.
Greg, I hope some of this rain stops so that...
We're looking for improving conditions. We will get a few spotty showers, as I mentioned, with the moisture plume still hanging across us, but most of that activity is pulled up. We got almost 10 inches of rainfall in the center of the island. New Providence was the bullseye.
All right, thanks so much for that, Greg. And we will continue to cover the aftermath of Tropical Storm Imelda. Be sure to stay tuned to our social media pages, Our News Bahamas on Facebook, Instagram, X, and TikTok for the very latest information. On behalf of the entire team, I'm Natalia Hall. Enjoy the rest of your evening and stay safe, everyone. Hi, and thank you for watching. I'm Natalia Hall. Be sure and hit that like and subscribe button if you want to see more content like this. Click right over here. And don't forget to turn on your notifications to see more content from the team you already trust.